In this video, I would advise to wear some headphones. There are some audio issues from the OBS recording on Wade's end. It was a little quiet. It's just an OBS issue. So yeah, I advise to wear some headphones and put the volume up a little bit more on that. Anyways, hope you guys enjoy the video. Ladies and gentlemen, to celebrate the 100 subscriber milestone, we're finally here doing a debate with someone who is finally back on the show. The first time I interviewed him, I was around like 20 subs, I believe. Right? So you came on. It was actually, it's crazy. My interview with you is the second most viewed on my channel.
Let's go.
Second most viewed. The Fox interview was number one. But yeah.
I was getting beat up by the Fox.
Yeah, nah. But what is it? No, what is it? But that Wade interview also very legendary because I think it was very. To be honest, when I interviewed you, it was more. We talked about other stuff than just the traditional, influencer boxing and just going into MMA a bit. We also saw more of a side of you, being, talking about your college sports when you used to play American football, and then, you being a fan of basketball, right? So it's like, yeah. Even, dude, when you posted on Twitter, I respect the fact that you're talking about the Nuggets, because that finals was like, it was, Nuggets, man, they're really underrated in terms of the casual viewing, and so, yeah.
They're such a well-built team, depth-wise. They got shooters around Jokic. He's a generational talent.
100%. 100%. But as you guys see in the title, right, we're going to be doing a debate. I wasn't lying when I said it's going to be huge, all right? I'm going to be doing a debate with the Wade concept, right? And the first one, I feel like I know for a fact that, we both had a disagreement on. It was on a Twitter space, right? When I was saying my pound-for-pound, top 10 pound-for-pound list, this person was not in the top 5, and I do believe you didn't agree with this, but is Slim Albahur a top 5 pound-for-pound influencer boxer?
Yeah, to me, yeah.
You said yes. So I didn't have him in the top 5, right? So we can start off right there. So I'll say my reasons, right? So to before getting into the Slim thing, right? My 5 fighters that are above Slim, number 1, Jake. I think we can both agree with that. Jake is number 1. KSI number 2.
Okay.
All right, Gib 3.
Okay.
4 Salt, and then 5 Dean.
Okay.
So, and then yeah, the KSI Jake one self-explanatory. We don't need to get into that.
Mm-hmm.
Gib, he's had 1 loss against Jake, but he's fought Taylor Holder. He's fought Austin McBroom. He's fought Swingler early in his career, and he had that 1 fight, in the first Joe Weller KSI match, right? Very active, and in terms of toughness of fighters that he's, in terms of competition that he's gone against, I will take that over Slim, because Slim has had 1 fight where it has been difficult, which was the 2-week notice against FaZe Temper. Salt Poppy, right? Each fight, besides the Anthony Taylor loss, which is big, which doesn't affect where my list is. I still have him at number 4. I had him 4 beforehand. I'll still have him at number 4 now. In terms of just pure skill and, being 3-0 against influencers, especially going against Bruckner, who was some people may say, a dark horse in this influencer boxing scene.
Right.
So getting that big, a big win against Bruckner back in January definitely elevated Salt Poppy. For sure. Made a huge statement into having Salt Poppy into that conversation. And then number 5, Dean the Great. I think Dean the Great is a very underrated one to have in the top 5. I could explain it. So how I determine my pound-for-pound list is by the amount of wins and the competition of fighters that you're going against. And skill. I'll put skill up there as well. Dean the Great, his first fight was against Evil Hero, who was 1-0 at the time, right? Obviously, the next point I'm about to say is obviously more impressive when it comes to Waleed Sharks, a 3-time Golden Glove winner. Waleed knocked him down twice, and Dean at the end of the fight got him in the 3rd round TKO. So having that win over against someone who's a 3-time Golden Glove champion, who's in Michigan, it's a very legit win to have. And then he had a fight against Pulley, who was 2-0 in the influencer boxing scene. Pulley's underrated. So, those are my 5. I would like to hear why you think Slim would be top 5. By the way, no disrespect to Slim. I do like watching Slim as a fighter. No disrespect from my end.
You shouldn't have to. It's
yeah.
not.
Yeah.
people that have an adult brain can understand rankings aren't personal.
Yeah.
I would say Gibb is right on the outside for me.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Because of what Salt Poppy did against Josh Bruckner, it really bumped him up in my opinion. Now, people are going to look at it and go, how can Gibb not be top 5 when he's been top 5 on all your lists? I think the loss to Anthony Taylor was not as devastating to Salt Poppy as the Jake loss was to Gibb, right?
Okay.
It was a pretty devastating loss, pretty dominant loss, right? Whereas Anthony Taylor beat Salt Poppy, but he didn't beat him down into the ground and show, super high levels of, dominance in that fight. He did what he had to do to win.
Yeah.
I don't think that I think that actually raises Salt Poppy's stock in a way, because it's like, this is a pro guy, right? A guy that has a ton of experience, a guy that has fought in a ton of different combat sports. And again, it was only 3 rounds. Maybe it's a little bit revisionist history, but I think that, I don't want to see them fight again, but I do think if they did it again, I don't think down the line it would be necessarily as one-sided as it was to AT. So I'm going to go Jake KSI, Dean 3, Salt Poppy 4, and Slim 5.
Slim 5. Okay, so Gibb and Slim is where the difference is, right?
It's
so
only because Gibb's been beaten, Slim hasn't.
Okay. So has Slim been tested to the point where Gibb has, right? Because the loss, to be fair, was to, Jake Paul, who's the best pound-for-pound influencer boxer in the scene.
Jake then would get smoked by Jake now.
Yeah.
So it's like, at that time, can we play, how would Gibb now do against Jake at that time? Sure, we can do that, but you have to take the time for what it was.
Well,
it wasn't as good then.
Yeah.
Neither was Slim.
True, but if we're gonna compare them now, right? I haven't seen Slim, right, compared to Gibb. I think Slim has been tested, but not as much as Gibb, and I'm talking about in the fight, where Gibb, he got knocked down by Austin McBroom and came back with 5 knockdowns.
Isn't that a good thing?
Yes, because it shows that you can come back from it. Dean got knocked down, twice from Waleed, right?
Isn't it a good thing that Slim? You keep saying, he hasn't been tested. Kind of a good thing.
Yes, in a way. In that perception, it could be a good thing too. But
hasn't been knocked down. Took fights on 2 weeks' notice. Beat up guys bigger than him.
Yeah.
Continuously.
That is a good point. But also too, it's like the fighters that he's gone against, right, in his whole career, he's 6-0, right? And don't get me wrong, the record is sweet. But who's he won against is the question, right? Fuzi, who self-admittedly said he's the worst YouTube boxer in the scene. NNA Productions, who fights 40 pounds down from Slim. He fights in the 140, 135 range, right? So he had to go up and fight Slim, to be fair.
It wasn't even close. Not even competitive.
Yeah, exactly, right? It was it wasn't even a competitive fight. Abidon, who fought in Social Knockout 2, he had one fight against some other fighter. I can't remember, right? Smoked him. The one fight I will give is a temper 2-week fight. Right, he had to fight him 2 weeks. That is the one credible win, I will say, for sure, right? But then it comes to the Ryan Taylor and Tom Zanetti, those 2 fights, especially with
Ryan Taylor.
Yeah.
Smoked him. I mean, people look at that fight and we're like, he didn't knock him out. Dominated.
No, it was a dominated win. But I feel like Slim, if he wanted to make a statement, was supposed to be that fight. Listen, Slim got a win. Slim got a win. Did he make a statement win? Is the question.
My question to you would be, did you get lulled into the fact that Slim has to knock everyone out to make a statement?
Depends of what his standards are. If he thinks that he's the best...
Did you make a statement versus Taylor Holder?
Did Gimmick make a statement against Taylor Holder? That was one of the biggest upsets coming into the social gloves. Because everyone beforehand had Taylor Holder winning.
Doesn't matter. Why was it an upset? Who was the more experienced fighter?
Well, Gabe was a more experienced fighter on paper. But you would even know this too, right? Beforehand, right? Everyone's saying Taylor Holder's skill training with Kyle. Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Mm-hmm.
You look good, but what I'm saying is, what quantifies an upset, and why is Gibbs' win versus Taylor any better than Slim's versus Ryan Taylor?
That's a good question, right? I think they could be both the same, where we could.
Ryan Taylor, even though it should have been a draw, drew with Anthony Taylor.
Mm-hmm. That is a fair point to make about that. It's just this, like I said, the standards of that Slim to Ryan Taylor win, where Slim puts himself up. You know what I mean? He says that he's better than, he says he's top 3 at the end of the day.
I don't care what he says.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you that if we're quantifying wins, right? Gibbs' best win is Austin Taylor or Austin McBroom.
Yeah.
I would say Slim's best win is, honestly, I think Slim's best win is Tom Zanetti.
Yeah. I think so too.
The temper fight, I think Gibb would have had success against that temper as well. But I think that the difference maker is just the fact that Slim wins. Every time he wins. Doesn't matter how he gets it done, he gets it done. Okay,
so actually this is my question to you. You think Ryan Taylor and Taylor Holder are similar in like boxing level? Because
I don't even think they're in the same sphere of weight.
No, they're not in the same weight, but I'm saying in terms of skill.
Is he able to bully someone? Is he able to bully Ryan Taylor?
I'd say I don't think he'll like knock him out or anything, but I think he can for sure do what Slim does the same way.
Knock him out. What makes his win better? Would you consider his win versus Ryan Taylor better if he beat him?
If Gibb did, depends on the fashion. To be fair,
you said he wouldn't knock him out.
I don't think. Yeah, so it would. Okay, to be fair, it would be both the decision, which ideally is the same.
And Slim did knock him down.
He did knock him down once. Okay. Well, actually, he could knock him down. I didn't say knock out. I think it's hard to knock out Ryan Taylor, but he does have because at the end of the day, right? We're talking about Gibb, who did knock down McBroom quite a bit of times.
About 168 pounds.
The weight difference is a factor, but
about 190 pounds.
So what is it? How much did Gibb weigh in against McBroom?
I think it was like around 160, 170.
Okay, so they're both similar in weight. Okay.
Gibbs a little bigger now than he was as far as just like his muscle mass and stuff, but he's still 175.
Okay.
He's not. Ryan Taylor cuts weight to get to 175.
Okay.
Let's not forget, Slim was 169 in those fights, fighting 6 to 7 pounds under.
True, but what is it? One thing I just remember this. Did you say that Ryan Taylor wasn't that credible of a win? You did say the only win that's credible was Zanetti, the temper one, right?
Well, I don't think it's a non-credible win. I thought Ryan Taylor looked good in the matchup. I think a lot of people look at that matchup and shit on Slim for it. I thought it was a good win. I keep saying, win over a tough guy.
Yeah, I mean, what is it? He did dominate Ryan Taylor the 4 rounds. If we look back at it, he did dominate him the 4 rounds, which
Ryan Taylor didn't win a round.
Yeah, he didn't. Ryan Taylor didn't win a round. I think what everyone was shocked about was more of Ryan Taylor's chin,
people were shocked because they'd seen Slim put a lot of people away.
That as well. That is true because of the health thing.
Put this guy away too, not taking into account that weight classes for a reason.
That's fair,
when you're pounds down on fight night.
But that also goes to both parties of the fight, because Slim didn't have to do the fight at the end of the day too. So it's like I hear that excuse.
Shouldn't that be another thing as well?
Sorry.
That he didn't have to and still did it. Shouldn't that be another point to Slim?
Well, yeah, because it was a personal matter. That is true. But then the excuse of because yes, don't get me wrong, it is props to Slim that he did that, but. Well, yeah, but then Slim after the fight was like, "Oh shoot, I would have knocked him out, but there's a weight class for a reason." And he said that same excuse for Zanetti, right?
It's tough until you get in there and feel it.
100%. But I'm saying it's like you can't use that excuse though when it's like you know what you're getting in. Wait, is it? I mean, it kind of sounds like an excuse after the fight when you're like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I can't knock him out." Sorry.
What is he making the excuse for? What's the excuse?
Because he said after the fight, the post fight, saying that I should have knocked him out, and it's like I should have got him out easily.
He just couldn't.
Yeah, no, well, yeah, he couldn't for sure. Yeah, because like I said, the weight class is for the reason, right?
There's no excuse there. That's just what happened. He's just saying, listen, I couldn't knock him out because he's big as hell.
Yeah. Okay. No. Okay. No, I can see what you're saying with that. Yeah.
It's like going to give and be like, why didn't you knock out Taylor Holder? What's your excuse?
Well, no. I'm not saying. Okay, hold on. I'm not saying that. Slim should have knocked out Ryan Taylor. I'm not trying to make it sound like that. But I'm saying Slim himself said, I should have knocked out Ryan Taylor, but I didn't because there's weight class reasons. Sorry.
He said I wanted to knock him out. Yeah.
Yeah, but
I just can't.
Yeah, but I'm saying that's what he said because like after that fight with Ryan Taylor, if you also remember, he was mentioning about how like shoot, like I got the win, but I'm not as impressed about it because I should have knocked him out.
Right, and why couldn't he?
Because the weight class, which he did mention as well, which we could both agree on. Yeah.
Not an excuse. It's just him telling the people, hey, listen.
Okay.
What happened?
Okay.
Because I was in there and I felt that guy was big.
Okay. So okay, then here's my next question then, right? Because we'll put this back to Gibb and Slim. Does so Gibb's most credible win, which we can both agree on, was McBroom, right? Was Austin McBroom. So Zanetti, you said is Slim's most was Slim's best win, if you would say. Who has more of a credible win, necessarily?
I think Zanetti. I would say Zanetti probably gives Austin a rough time.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, Austin has lost a lot of motivation to back in the ring, it seems like.
And he's a fighter that would be tough, I think, for Austin to deal with.
Okay.
Pressure, forward, takes punches, throws volume. Tough.
Okay.
Big.
That's true.
190-pounder.
That's true. I'm not. When I ask that question, I'm not asking it being like, "Oh, McBroom's better than Zanetti." I'm asking it as like a genuine question.
You have to make.
Sorry, say it again.
That's the comparison you have to make.
Yeah. So Zanetti. So because I'm just comparing all the opponents at the time going against each other, right? So I could also agree with Zanetti being the first opponent. How I'm seeing, because like I'm now thinking about this more and more, right? The common ground we can go with this is that Gibb, in terms of longevity, has taken tough fights, but recently Slim has gotten the better wins and with the tougher opponents, right?
The fight thing with Gibb is it's hard to quantify. How are his fights tougher than Slim's outside of Jake?
Well, no, I'm saying quantity. I'm not saying quality. I'm talking about the quantity of his fights because yes, he did lose to Jake, but he did go against Jay Swingler in his second fight.
Okay, Jay Swingler was in his first fight.
True, but he did show quite. That is a fair point. I will give you that. Okay, because that is experience. No, that is true. Okay,
you know what I mean?
That's true.
It's like you could put Jay Swingler not on the same level because they were clearly like Uzi's first fight. You could see it was just not going to work. But you could say, okay, well, experience wise, these guys take pretty much similar experienced guys.
Okay.
Except for Jake, and that's you have to kind of nullify that one because he did lose the fight, but you can't knock him too much for it.
Yeah,
you have to knock him for losing one fight, whereas Slim hasn't.
No, and yeah.
Take away the Jake fight, just take it away completely, then look at the resumes, and it still kind of leans to Slim.
True. Okay, that's fair. All right. Honestly, because like, listen, I'm coming into this because I obviously want to get my mind changed about like a lot of stuff, right? You could change my mind on the Slim one because I am really seeing your point on that. To be fair, about that Ryan Taylor win and how Gibb would go against the Ryan Taylor. To be fair, so I'll give you props for that for sure. Now let's go. Oh shoot, did not mean to zoom that out. Okay. Yeah. So you know what? I just want to say final thoughts on that topic. Honestly, we could both agree about the Dean, Salt, KSI, Jake as top 4. Slim could edge it over, Gibb because, what is it? Because
the tournament, he gets the spot.
Yeah, Gibb wins or even if he wins against Jarvis, if we're being honest, because Jarvis.
Depending on what Slim's next fight is.
That is true. I think it was rumored. I heard from just on through the grapevine that Slim was going to be fighting B-Dave on his next fight. Nah.
I mean, I don't. If that's the case,
B-Dave said it in the interview. To be
maybe.
fair,
I'd rather see Slim and Blueface or something like that.
Slim and Blueface would be a good fight. He would be a good fight. But if it was okay.
Or Slim and Gibb. I've been saying it for years, man. Just
Make that for sure. That would obviously be, everyone would love that fight.
Tournament comes out, fight Slim, cool.
Everyone would love that fight for sure. It's like, yeah, I think if hypothetically, which is leading towards those two fights, right? If Slim somehow does go against Blueface and Gibb goes against Jarvis, I think the conversation will be a little bit different because Jarvis, in my opinion, I think Jarvis is a lot more of a credible fighter than Blueface.
Cool.
Yeah, and especially if Gibb wins against Jarvis, I think that's where I think this discussion could be changed a little bit for sure. Yeah. But for right now, I'd say yeah. For right now, I could see your point a lot more through this. Which yeah, we'll go ahead to the second question, right? Okay, this is not more of a debate. This is just more of like who. You'll see what this question is, right? When KSI retires, is there someone who could have the star power in this scene and take over the influencer boxing? And if it is, who?
It'd have to be somebody like Wenderson. Have to be.
Okay.
Or maybe a star is made out of this tournament, or Gibb, potentially. But the reason it would have to be a guy like Wenderson right now is because Wenderson continues to make content, continues to be an influencer, continues to do other things than just show up and box. No offense to the other guys, it's just right now, no one else is really doing that. Jarvis is doing it a little bit. Gibb is starting to do it a little more.
Mm-hmm.
I think that just the consistency that KSI had while he was fighting, the reason you wanted to watch him was because you were still interested in him, and it's not just in the ring. You're interested in him outside of it as well. So
okay,
anybody's going to take over. I mean, if Logan decided to come back, obviously, but it's probably out of the people we have right now. It's probably Wenderson, maybe a Nick LMAO way down the line. Yeah, probably Wenderson.
Okay. Yeah, Wenderson. It really seems like I think the easy choice for this question.
Yeah.
The only thing, and I don't know if you're allowed to speak on it or not, was the Wenderson free tickets thing true or not? Where he gave out a whole bunch of free tickets. Do you know about that?
I don't think it was free, but I have no idea. I want to say that their team bought a bunch of them and then handed them out. I don't remember though.
Okay. Cause
something where he did have a good amount that he either bought himself and handed out, or that were set aside for him to give to like Brazilian fans. I'm not exactly sure.
Yeah, and that's like the one thing I had to like, because I remember talking to Fox and he said something similar about that too, whether that was true or not. And so that's a question with the two. I think the only Wenderson could be very well obviously with Brazil. I think that's a given. If he fights in Brazil, that's a given where he could do good.
Wenderson can sell in Brazil like no one else can sell outside of KSI.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, for sure. And it's just that next person that could take over. And we saw what happened with Gibb and Austin. Not too many people showed up for that. So there's half of it left.
Obviously were there for Wenderson and then did.
Yeah, for sure. And so it's like now they're obviously changing it to have Wenderson as the main event, which makes sense. It's good to make that. It's good to make that correction now because obviously beforehand I don't think anyone was really. I don't think anyone was gonna think that Wenderson was gonna be that big, especially, or a lot of people coming in just for Wenderson to see in the UK. So yeah. So if I have to think honestly, someone from the UK, because we could just say Wenderson. I want to think of someone who has that potential to come in. I know Gideon said he's gonna be boxing in September. Gideon said he's boxing in September. I remember he said that in Sneeko or Aiden's stream. I remember making a whole short about it. So if he comes in, I think both U.S. and U.K., both countries could go and see Gideon.
Yeah.
So yeah, for sure. All right, we'll go to the fan questions now, right? So this first question is from the host of No Limits. Shout out Prob. All right.
Prob, how we doing?
Prob's the GOAT. So he asked this question, right? So is influencer boxing better when A, influencers would fight based on promotion, star power, and story with each other, or like storyline with each other? Or B, influencers fighting because of gimmicks and proving who's the better boxer, while the promotion does the promo for their fighters?
That was obviously A.
A.
I mean, but then again, it's a combination of things. You have to have the right people, the right amount of fans, the right story. Like, not everyone is going to get behind a story they don't care about.
For
you
sure.
have to build a story around people, one, they already care about, or find a way to make them care about those people. So, obviously, the first option is what you want.
Yeah.
The second option is what we got right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
We'll see.
I believe Creator Kosh is a lot better with the A side of things. To be honest, yeah, it depends.
Really have, like, a story.
It's not necessarily a storyline, but like it's more of that YouTube boxing, old tradition, right?
It's more based around the personalities
Yeah.
than anything else. And also, it's only run once a year, so that helps a lot. You can really build that and show training footage, all the other stuff that you want to show.
Yeah.
And then you build this massive event, and people love it, and they can come down and they can make a whole weekend out of it, because people don't realize this, but not only do you have Creator Clash, you have like the welcoming party where fans can come in and do some stuff the night before, and then you have like the wrap party the night after where everybody comes in, red carpet. I usually don't get to do those things because I'm usually off to the next thing, but
yeah,
a lot of fans really enjoy that, and they make a whole weekend out of it. So
that's good. Yeah. I hope Creators Clash is another event by like hopefully the end of the year. That would be dope. I don't know when they're gonna have another one, but if it's probably next year, it'll be next year. Okay, all right. So shout out Prob for that question. The second one is from Krista. Is YouTube boxing dying, and if so, why? And how could we repair it? If not, why? And what's the driving force to keeping it alive?
It is dying.
Yeah.
I think people want to hold on to the fact that it isn't, but it is.
Yeah.
The numbers will show that it is.
Yeah, I think it's yeah. To be fair, it's more orienting towards the dying part because I think I think companies like Misfits is starting to take accounts of start uploading more. I think they're gonna start introducing that penalty. I talked to Unbear and he says that they're gonna have a 50% penalty for the people who don't upload or don't promote the fight.
Here's the thing: you can't make people do things exactly the way you want them to do it. You can't.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
What are you gonna write in the contract? You have to upload, and this portion of your video has to be made toward the fight. What percentage of the video? How do they need to promote it?
Okay.
You can't make sure they do everything the exact way you want to do it.
Yeah.
If guys get told, okay, this is what you have to do, or else you don't get your money. They'll throw a little 1 minute or 30-second advert in their video and be like, oh, by the way, I'm fighting, and then get back to what they're doing. Or they'll just make an Instagram story.
Yeah.
Or something else. It's not the way, in my opinion. It's money, so it's always tough. But the way you do it is you incentivize them. Pay-per-view, percentage, or their purse that isn't taken away but added to if they hit certain things.
Okay.
Like, say you do a video, your main event guys, they're required to do videos or whatever. If those videos hit a certain amount, with that promotion, let's say 100K views, 200K views, whatever it is, get a little extra on top, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or percentage of pay-per-view, depending on the amount of views per video they get. I don't know how you want to do it, but that's the way, in my opinion, you try to revive this thing, is to get people involved by doing videos, the hard part is you can't just make guys do boxing videos when their communities don't care about just them boxing. If they're boxing for the first time, they haven't built a community from boxing.
Yeah.
Right? So making them do boxing content only is kind of silly to me. Like, you sure include it, include that as a part of what you're doing.
Yeah.
But also, let's find ways to keep growing and also then transfer that audience to your boxing fight as well. Like, why do people want to watch Corn box?
Mm-hmm. That's fair.
People are like, why didn't he promote it? Why do you think he didn't promote it? This audience doesn't give a shit.
Mm-hmm.
Think he's gonna be on Twitter all day typing out a little, hey, watch me box on this day? You think that's gonna get interactions? No.
Yeah.
Those interactions come from Twitter. Very meme, very quote tweet, whatever. Influencers are not built the same in this scene. Just because you have 1 million followers doesn't mean you get 1 million interactions on this stuff.
That's true. That is true.
TikTok following is not transferring over, at least not for most. If you're predominantly a TikTok creator, your 1 million or your 100,000 views equal like 1,000 on YouTube, maybe less. People aren't necessarily watching you for the creator; they're watching for the content. Whereas YouTube has the long form content that you can start to build relationships with creators. That's what we need. Rebuilding relationships, creators to fans, to then incentivize those fans to watch their favorite creators.
Okay.
There's a reason that the scene has gotten to where it's gotten. People have gotten away from being the creators that brought them to the dance, and that's okay. You're making your money. Cool. want the scene to grow, that's going to have to be done.
All right. So you're saying that you're saying what Misfits just keep it just short and simple, right? What Misfits' solution isn't necessarily the best way they should go about it, which is that thing.
It's a way. I don't know if it's going to work by penalizing guys if they don't promote, because the word promote doesn't. What does that mean?
Mm-hmm.
Promote out.
Okay.
You know? Make a video talking about boxing that gets no views and people don't care about anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Mm-hmm. So you think you think the ceiling of this like whole, this is a question for me, but do you think the ceiling of like the YouTube boxing scene will be like 5 years because of the DAZN contract?
It's gonna be tough to make it to the 5, to be honest. I think that's why they're starting to introduce gimmicks now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They didn't even get through the first year yet, and we started introducing gimmicks. That shows me that we're running out of ideas.
Okay.
Or we're running out of competitive fights that people care about. Maybe not ideas, but that's what we're running out of.
Mm-hmm.
Fights that people care about.
It's true. Because it's also the amount of, how do I say it, the quantity of people from the social media that want to go into the ring at the end of the day.
Also,
there's only a handful.
Cards.
Yeah, and cards too, yeah. There's also just a quantity of fighters that want to go into the ring too. Because at the end of the day, boxing is something that you don't want. Boxing is something you don't go and play, right? And that's why I have a lot of respect for boxers. You put your lives on the line at the end of the day. So it's like, yeah. That's for sure. We'll move on to the next one. This third question. Oh wait, is it third? Hold on. Okay, yeah, we passed the first question. Okay, so this one, this question is from Amber. Should storylines be created or should they happen organically?
Tough.
It's
ideally,
tough.
You want them to happen organically, but not every story has an organic build.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's some fights you just throw together because it's a competitive fight. And they don't really have any other story. Like, for example, Anthony Taylor and Salt Poppy didn't really have a story other than you could have made the story the King of Happy Punch.
Mm-hmm.
And, obviously, should Salt Poppy have won that, which I think everybody at Happy Punch and probably Misfits wanted, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Can't say that for sure because I don't know, but it just makes more sense business-wise for Salt Poppy to win that fight.
Yeah.
I think that could have been the story, and the hard part is all the stories going into and coming out of that fight are centered around Salt Poppy.
Yeah. I think
Taylor's story is what?
Mm-hmm.
You won, now what? Who wants to fight him?
Yeah, I think there is one thing that everyone is now awake for, and this is a good thing. Is because it's good that happens soon rather than later. Is that we shouldn't have the crossovers fight the influencers.
Yeah.
I think people are starting to get that, and that is perfect. And I'll give Keem props on that because he did say that for a long time. Yeah.
No, it was one that I know Keem didn't want to do.
Yeah.
Or at least he tried not to have it happen. But
yeah,
it's one of those things, man. They needed something. They tried to get their guy a tough fight. Poppy wanted it, and
yeah,
it didn't work out. But it's
Yeah.
you need to create stories that are organic, but sometimes you just don't have that organic story to work off.
True.
Of. Like there was no organic story in KSI and Joe Fournier. It just wasn't. It was just pro boxer KSI.
Yeah.
I mean? At least with Tommy and KSI, there is a little bit of that because the years have gone by, and Tommy had called him out previously, and
True.
K and the Fury name, all that.
Mm-hmm. I think with KSI Fournier was more of a question. It was more of a question mark beat for KSI to take that fight, and that kind of resulted.
Anytime you take a guy that's not in the influencer scene.
That is a fair point.
It's not necessarily a story. It's just like,
Yeah.
okay, well, I guess we'll see what happens. If that's the story, I guess we'll see what happens. Okay.
Yeah. But
it's tough.
you can't rely on that all the time. Yeah.
Well, you're not going to get a KSI Logan storyline
Yeah.
until guys decide they want to build it. Like, genuinely, people forget KSI and Logan weren't like beefing when the call out happened. It was just a call out, and then things got personal as the press conferences went over. So that can be the case if the call out, or if two guys get matched up to fight, or two girls.
Yeah.
And then you get personal after that. You have a story. But you can't force it. You can't.
Mm-hmm.
You can see right through that shit.
Yeah. Well, See, okay, don't get me wrong. I think everything that happens, like, just from its like raw emotion, right, organically, right. I think obviously that's like the best case scenario, but not all the time something will happen, right. I don't mind having some of the fights being like
some fights can be just good fights. Some
yeah.
fights can do that.
No, but what I was saying is like I don't mind having some of the fights be like the storyline to it be kind of fixed. You know what I mean, and cause like drama just for the sales of it.
The problem is people see through. At least in my opinion, people see through.
Well, to be okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I was gonna say when you're trying to force people to like act in a certain way.
Yeah.
You see it. For example,
okay.
Uncle Pizza.
Oh yeah, 100%. But what?
Does anybody genuinely care if he brings down pizzas and goes to box, or do people? You know what would have really been cool? Because I know Uncle Pizza.
Yeah.
He's a cool ass dude.
Yeah.
If people knew who he was and actually knew what he was doing in his story, it'd be 100% more investment than watching a guy run down and throw pizzas around.
Okay. Yeah, the Uncle Pizza one was a little bit of a weird situation, but some of the stuff can work, especially with the whole KSI Logan Paul thing. That I'm not gonna. To be fair, that was all. In my opinion, that was all like fixed. I think that was just fake beef, and they did it to promote the fight.
And that's fine.
Yeah.
They did a great job of blending or blurring the lines between personal
and business.
Whatever it is, drama, business.
Yeah.
You have to be able to blur those lines. You can't just go off the deep end with gimmicks. You can't do it.
I agree. No, I agree with that. So as long as if it's like business, it's for business. It could be a lot. It will be a lot. It could be a lot better. More. What is it? A lot better results. It could be a lot better results for that.
Yeah.
Could for sure.
You can't creating characters. Not gonna work.
Yeah.
Or you'll get a subset of people that are like, "Woo, pizza."
Yeah, but it's like how long really? You know what I mean? Yeah.
Gotta sell. I don't want to say his name because I don't know if people know he used to be Chrissy Poo or whatever. He is a dope fighter, man. He's a dope guy. I just wish they would tell his actual story. But
Chris Poo used to be Uncle Pizza, or sorry, other way around.
Reverse. Yeah, reverse.
Really? Okay. That's nuts. Actually, I didn't know about that. All right, so we'll move to the another question. Right, this one's from Iza. Shout out to him. Should YouTube boxing stop with the tag team and other gimmicks as it can potentially kill the sport, or should they put a hold onto it and lessen the consistency on having those type of gimmick matches?
Yeah, I think if you're gonna do it, it needs to be a you only roll it out once a year, maybe twice.
Okay.
At most. And it just depends on what the gimmick is, man. Like I think people know that I've been against just doing things to do it, just doing things for the gimmick. Just be like, we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily a bad thing as long as fighters are, things are safe and people know the rules and commissions know the rules and they understand how to score it and how to judge it and how to referee it.
Yeah.
And I don't see a super problem with it. The only worry I have is that when it becomes the mainstay of what we do, which everybody's like, oh, it won't be the mainstay, we'll come back and it'll be one-on-ones and all that, but it's the main event of the card that we're about to watch.
Yeah, well, I mean, to kind of like...
Not say it's the mainstay of that card, it's the main event.
Yeah.
The main draw, apparently.
Yeah.
The thing is, everybody says, oh, we have something for everyone. And that's okay. That's fine. I just wonder, at a certain point, you start the card off with boxing, and then you have Survivor Tag, and then you go back to boxing, and then you have Tag Team, and then you go back to boxing. I don't know how many people care to stay around for that entire thing. Are you just watching your fight, and then you're dipping? Are you going to stay around to watch the gimmick fight at the end, or you just want to watch the gimmick fight at the end, and what's the point in putting the other fights? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think you're going to get a very confused, and I wouldn't even say you're taking advantage of a broader fan base at that point. I think you're going to get a very confused fan base where pro boxing or boxing people will go, oh, okay, well, that's not for me. This one fight is. So they're going to try to find what time that fight goes on the card, So, I don't know. To me, it feels like it's overdone a little bit, even though this will only be the second and third time, but I have a feeling the cogs are in the machine already to continue that route.
Yeah.
That's not the way I would do it. But
Yeah. So I could agree to disagree. So I'll start off with the agreement, because I can agree with you with some of the stuff about, like, oh, if we keep overdoing it, because at the end of the day, right, people's lives are online and everything, and especially with doing the survival tag match, don't get me wrong, on paper it's great, right? But the one main issue with it, and you did say it's the main event, but why the tag team did very well, in my opinion, of the first fight that happened. Not only, like, okay, the idea of it sounded cool, sure, but it also, the performance of those four fighters in the ring turned out to be good at the end of the day, right? It was a good fight.
So, a good fight. They got smoked.
Oh, well, okay, yeah. Well, sorry. The Ice Poseidon and Anthony Vargas, yes, they did get smoked. But if we're talking about the people who were to watch that fight, it was an entertaining fight. At the end of the day,
the idea of it was entertaining. It was very much what's going to happen, and then
exactly
the finish was the big draw. Like, oh, they finished it, woo! No, we did it.
Yeah, so, like, the performance of it, yeah, it's like it went up to standards, is what I'm saying, right? So that's right. The issue. So that what goes with the, So then when it goes to the survival tag match, right? Not only, oh, maybe on paper this idea is gonna be good, but since it's but the performance of that match has to be good as well to keep doing it again. And since it's on a main event scale, there's gonna be more pressure of it to do good, so it could keep going. Because let's just say, right, it's the main event, everyone's waiting for it, right? And then we just see, let's say B. Dave and Nick Lamau are in the ring at first, right? And they keep going, it's 4 3-minute rounds. Oh no, 3 4-minute rounds, right? So let's just say, because I was reading some of the rules, let's just say it goes up to, last 10 seconds of the fight, and then they just tag them out, and they both tag each other's opponents, right? They go fight in, and then the round stops. That you have to switch out after each round, it says, right? That's the rule. So they switch back in, right? That's not going to be fun for any of the people who are trying to watch this, because they're trying to see a 1v1v1v1.
Yeah, so like I said, it's convoluted to a degree, but I've already said my piece on it.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a good thing for the mainstay to be putting these things in main events, because you treat them like they are the mainstay. But it is what it is. I hope it goes well. I want to see the influencer scene grow. I just don't think this contributes to it more so than a Dean. And maybe and again, that's another thing. They tried this, I'm sure. They tried to get the main event fights people want. And sometimes you just can't. So maybe their hands were tied and that's what they had to do.
Yeah. Yeah. And so that's the part where I'm agreeing with, right? Because it's just the standards and everything. The one thing where I disagree, and this is the one thing that I think we can disagree on, right? What is it? The goal of what this influencer boxing scene is supposed to be, right? It's supposed to have the eyes on, the fighters, right?
Right.
So and this is something that I want to talk to you about with the PFL and this UFC question later on, which we'll get to soon. How could the influencer boxing scene compete, or I doubt this will happen, but overtake professional boxing, right? Is to be unique. Is to be like, hey, you know what? Professional boxing has, these, has the best fighters, and they go 1v1, blah, 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 right? Has all, the professional boxing stuff. How influencer boxing can go and compete with that is just being unique. And, maybe this tag team in the Fatal 4-Way match is unique. And if it goes well, they can, I know you're not the biggest fan of going it on board with it, but if it's, it is safe to keep doing this and everything, right? If they keep pushing that, well, they're building their own lane of doing these, these tag team matches. Oh, these, 1v1v1v1 matches, or I don't know what more. I don't know what other ideas that Mams has.
Planned, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
More than that planned.
Yeah.
Yeah, my whole thing is making that the focus is the wrong way to go, in my opinion.
Okay.
It's just the wrong way to go.
Yeah.
At a certain point, you leave in the dust what is influencer boxing and boxing in general.
Yeah.
And I know people think I'm being dramatic when I say it, and it may not happen this year or next year. But at some point, when the gimmick becomes the focus, people will show up for the gimmick and nothing else.
Yeah. Okay.
When the light tubes run out and the backyard freaking parking lot brawls stop, why watch them get in the ring? Why watch 4 people box or 1-on-1 when you can watch 4-on-4 or 1v1v1 or everybody in the ring at once?
Because
Why
they're
don't you watch boxing in general?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What's the difference between pro and influencer boxing? I'll ask you.
What's the difference between pro and
What
influencer
makes-
boxing?
You said we're trying to be unique. What makes us unique?
Well, I think we're getting away from that, to be honest. I'm not saying that. Influencer boxing right now is competing with the professional boxing. What I'm saying is the goal. That's the goal. They're trying to be shifting away, right? So I think what the goal of influencer boxing is it's more on the build up to the fights is what I think is they're trying to do. I'm not saying whether they're doing a good job of it or not. I'm just saying I think that's what the goal of influencer boxing fights is the build up to the fights.
How does 4v4 affect the build up to the 4v4?
By the way they promote it, but but that's the thing. I could see when it comes to the 1v1v1, it does shift away from the influencer boxing, but I'm saying that's just another path that they can go towards if they want to.
What does that path lead to?
That path, well, to all these unique, all these different types of boxing matches. But
does it matter at that point who's
Yeah.
in the match?
at that point, 95% of the time, no.
So what's the point in watching? For the gimmick, right?
Yeah. So okay, so I could see. So you're saying if it keeps happening over and over again, right? Eventually, people are gonna get tired of it. Okay, That's actually a fair point. That is a fair point to be honest.
The problem is, like I said, it's fine to have gimmicks. It's fine to do. When it becomes the main focus, and maybe that won't be the main focus.
Yeah.
It's something they'll do. Like I said,
Yeah.
hopefully once a year, twice a year.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's fine.
Mhm.
If you do run this thing and that's the direction you want to go, well, let's just do a bunch of gimmicks, then it doesn't matter anymore.
Mhm.
Because even right now, they announced this survival tag thing.
Yeah.
You would think there'd be announcements on everyone's channel as soon as this thing came out. Why I'm doing Survivor Tag.
Yeah. There's only on one or two channels.
Where's Swarm's video?
Mhm.
Ryan Johnston video.
Yeah. That's fair.
I mean, are there diss tracks coming, or is there? But what I'm saying is, why do we care to watch these people do this?
Mhm.
Like, I care about Nick LMAO, B-Dave, Swarms, Ryan Johnston, because I'm in the scene.
Yeah.
You said this is the way to grow the scene.
Yeah.
How does that do that?
Mhm.
Again, influencer boxing. The reason I asked you why it's different from the pro scene
Yeah.
is no one seems to understand why that is.
Mhm.
People are like, oh, because it's unique. Well, what's unique about it?
Mhm.
Is it the gimmick?
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know, because to me, what makes influencer boxing unique is that people that already had a fan base or built a fan base outside of boxing
Mhm.
are then stepping into box.
Mhm. Yeah.
You get to see from the ground level of what they are starting with, the commitment they're willing to make to boxing, while also still being entertaining as creators. We get to see pro boxing from prospects like Canelo and Floyd and Ryan Garcia, Tank, all these guys from their young age, but we don't really know what happens with their life outside of it.
Yeah.
But we don't have to, because they're
You don't
world
have to,
championship
because they're
level
world-
boxers.
exactly.
When they get in, they're special.
Exactly. Yeah.
But when we watch influencer boxing, we watch it because we're interested in the person.
Mhm. Yeah.
How do they look when they step in? Why does it matter to us? It's because we care about them already.
Yeah. Well, that's why I mentioned the build up. That's why I mentioned the build up to it of what the influencer boxing selling point is.
If they get
Yeah.
some more build up to it, cool, man. Let's do
It's
it.
like, yeah.
I'll give some free advice right now. There should be camera crews with every single fucking main event fighter right now. Every single one.
Yeah.
For at least a couple of weeks.
Mhm.
Not fight week shit. No, they need to be in that camp right now. How are you preparing? What's going on?
Mhm.
Go to the studio with Swarms as he's preparing a diss track.
Yeah.
Go with Dave to fucking do whatever the crab daddy does.
Yeah.
Make these guys entertain while also giving them that platform. I know,
Yeah.
listen, what I'm saying is easy to say.
Yeah. But
money talks, and to fly out a camera crew, do all that stuff, it costs a lot of money.
True.
But it's the way I would do it, and it's the way I am doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see.
Well, you do have to sacrifice to see what happens at the end of the day, right? So it's like you don't want to play it safe. It's for sure. Yeah, that's like I said. I agree, and I agree and disagree with what you said, and the stuff that I agree with is what you're saying too. At the end of the day, but that was a great question. A great question from Isa. Shout out to Isa for that question because we actually talked a lot about that. But all right, going on to the next one, right? So this question is from the boxing space. Is the skill gap between these low-level pros and influencers not considered enough?
Not considered enough?
Yeah.
Now we consider it pretty much.
Yeah.
I
think ever since Misfits 7 was the Saul Poppy Anthony Taylor. I think ever since then is when people are starting to recognize that, hey, maybe we should start separating these two. I think that's when it was. So, yeah. I think
now we see it. Now it's pretty obvious. So, maybe before it wasn't considered enough, but now it definitely is.
Yeah, no, for sure. All right, so this next question is from the Fight Talk, Krish. Will influencer boxing be forced to switch paths to MMA? I don't think so either. Yeah.
There's already a tough enough time getting. There's already a tough enough time getting guys to box.
Yeah.
Let alone trying to actually get guys to throw hands.
True.
Knees, elbows, and for probably not the same amount of money because of the partnership with the Zone. I don't know that they're going to get a backer to put on MMA, so you'd have to have some backer come in, some big name be down to do it. I don't think it works.
Yeah.
No one's taking that risk.
Yeah, and especially the risk with because I've talked to a lot of like influencer boxers, right? And when I do interview them, and every single one of them have said that they're more comfortable doing boxing than MMA. Even though statistically boxing is the most dangerous sport, they're more comfortable of doing boxing because
it's more dangerous at the pro level.
Yes. Yeah. No, that's fair.
At this level, MMA would be far more dangerous.
Okay, yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair to say. Yeah.
Talking 4 rounds,
Yeah.
Most people are in 14-ounce gloves.
Yeah. MMA, 4-ounce gloves, and yeah, no, that makes sense. That makes sense for sure.
2-minute rounds for most of them as well, especially the girls.
Yeah. No, that's fair to say. 100%.
Not something you want to continue doing down that path because you can ask JMX how that went with Fame MMA or whatever they did. Didn't go well.
For sure. All right, this next question is from Most Wanted. Who's A-side between KSI or Jake, or you could switch out Jake with Tommy Fury?
KSI is A-side versus Tommy Fury, clearly.
I think so. If I think about it more, it is for other reasons.
It is for every reason. Tommy's not a draw.
Oh, well, yeah, no. So that's not. So the reason why I say other reasons, there's only one reason where like, oh, you know what, Tommy could be A-side because of this, because Tommy Fury is, as of right now on paper, Tommy Fury is technically the better boxer of KSI, but that's the only thing he has leverage on. Everything else is KSI. Yeah, but that exactly. That's why I say when it comes to everything else, it's KSI, because he brings in the people to watch the fights at the end of the day.
Right.
Yeah.
If the question is who's the draw between KSI and Tommy, it's clearly KSI. KSI and Jake.
That's a tough one. See, I was thinking about.
It's a matter of when, where, and how. Right.
Yeah.
If it's in the U.S., Jake is the draw.
Yes.
Clearly.
Yes.
Right. If it's in the U.K., KSI is probably a bigger draw to the stadium. Like, without a doubt, he sells that stadium. Pay-per-view wise, I'll have to see what KSI does with Tommy.
Yeah.
Because if he has similar numbers at a similar price point, you're literally talking about 1A, 1B, or 50-50. Like, it's hard to... You just don't know.
For sure.
KSI has the biggest name in the global space out of either of them.
Mm-hmm.
And for that audience and Logan Paul. You can say Anderson Silva's a big name, but he's not the drawing name that Logan is. And the only time he ever was when Chael Sonnen was there with him.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, we'll see. Because KSI hasn't really... It's not fair to KSI to say he's not, because he hasn't fought a big name the level of Logan Paul, and really had a consistent build-up other than Joe Fournier since. So, we'll see if they get this Tommy Fury fight over the line. We'll see. I'd say right now it's tough to tell. I'd lean Jake. If they do it in the U.S., he's definitely going to sell more. If they do it in the U.K., KSI obviously is the lean. So it's tough to know right now, man.
Yeah. No, so the whole Jake KSI is literally the same thing I was about to say. If it's in the U.S., Jake, U.K., KSI. We'll see how both of them do for if potentially KSI goes against Tommy Fury, and how Jake Paul rebounds from his loss at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So it's like that's the main question.
If Jake sells well with Nate Diaz, that's another one where it's like Nate's another massive name.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Hard to tell, but if he does around the same numbers he did with Tommy, then that's huge.
For sure. Especially coming off of a loss,
coming off a loss.
Yeah.
No 2 years to build it.
Yeah.
Different. It's not a pro box. It's not a whole thing like that. Not a pro boxer.
Yeah.
Interesting, but definitely something I would be. I'm like, okay.
For sure.
Jake's a draw, like a big draw.
For sure. So it's like, yeah. So the last question is the person that made the thumbnail of this video, Drenzo. Shout out to you. Who has better cardio between Jake and KSI?
Again, it's tough to tell.
That's tough. It's a tough question, to be fair.
Because they're different, too. Their cardios are different. KSI is very much a heavy pace forward guy, which would say, okay, yeah, that takes a lot of cardio to be super heavy pace, like front foot, forward pressure. Whereas Jake is more methodical. But Jake's fought longer. In multiple fights, he's fought longer.
Yeah.
Went 8 with Anderson Silva. Went 8 with Tommy. About to go 10 with Nate Diaz. He hasn't gone past 6 yet. And he hasn't gone to 6 in 3 years.
True. No, that's true. Yeah,
5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about. So, it's tough because pace is... Like, cardio is what? It's the way that you maneuver a fight and still be able to be efficient later on. Like, who has longer lasting cardio or who's got more efficient cardio? It's a tougher question. KSI's got great explosive cardio or pace and ability to pressure guys, and he is around at the end of the fights. But I mean, if I'm being honest, I thought Jake was more effective in later parts of the fight versus Tommy and Anderson than I'd seen even with JJ in the 6th round with Logan.
Yeah. No,
he was there.
Add on to your point. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but add on to your point. It's like, listen, Anderson. What happened in the 8th round against Anderson? Right? He knocked him down. What happened?
And Anderson knew he had to try to put Jake away.
Yeah.
Anderson knew he was down, so he had to come back, and he was on the front foot. He was fighting, and he was putting pressure on Jake, and Jake just stepped back, boom, out of the clinch, right hand.
And same with Tommy, 8th round. Tommy, who you have to give somewhat of respect to Tommy Fury. He did knock him down in the 8th round, even though he did lose the fight. That it shows to that question that, oh my goodness, if they do rematch, right, could Jake get the better of him? Because we did see that glimpse of Jake knocking down Tommy, having that power in the later rounds for sure.
It's something that we just haven't seen.
Yeah.
So if KSI has gotten ridiculously more dynamic with his cardio, then we'll see that, hopefully.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not his fault also that we haven't seen it. He's been able to put guys away quick.
Yeah.
Simple as,
True. All right, so that was the last question in the influencer boxing section. We're going to go to MMA. We're going to go to these MMA topics. Hopefully, we'll see if we disagree with some of them, right? The first one is, this fight won't happen this year, unfortunately, because of Conor's USADA issue. But if it does happen, let's say next year, right? Who will win between Michael Chandler and Conor McGregor?
It's tough, man. You look at Conor right now, and you don't... It's hard to say what you see out of him, because everything... I just talked to Stephen Wonderboy Thompson today, Sensei and I did.
Yeah.
About his time on The Ultimate Fighter, and he was like, "Man, Conor was so locked in, and he was ready to go, and he was switched on."
Mm-hmm.
And that's the Conor you want to see.
Yeah.
But then you see stuff of him goofing off outside, and now these allegations and things that he shouldn't be doing.
Yeah.
That he continues to do. That'll hinder a man. And when you're not focused on the prize, when you're not focused on being the best in the world entirely, not just while you're training. This is Conor out of his own mouth said the same thing when he was leading up to the Khabib fight. He goes, "I felt the training. I felt it was all I was doing was in the ring, in the gym. When I left the gym, there was nothing. I didn't focus on the fight."
Yeah.
So it's like, if he's not committed in the gym and outside of it to be a world champion, he's not gonna be. And Mike Chandler's committed.
So yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. I would say I favor Mike right now.
So yeah, that I also think Michael Chandler will win. I think honestly Conor McGregor is.
I want Conor to win.
Yeah, I do. No, same. Conor's a top 5 favorite fighter for me too. And when I was talking about this with someone else, someone also mentioned, Conor McGregor's fight IQ. But I'm like, where's Conor McGregor's fight IQ in the last couple fights?
Conor has a weird way of he has a different way of thinking about fighting, man. It's very interesting to watch him.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't care about losing.
Yeah.
Like he genuinely is a win or learn guy. That's his whole phrase, win or learn. So he's very much believes he can beat anybody on the planet. Believes that wholeheartedly, with his style, with his coaches, with his team.
Yeah.
Is he right? No. Not in all cases. We've seen this.
Yeah.
But he will approach the fight the same way every single time. And the adjustments are made. I thought he showed better wrestling in the Khabib fight than I was anticipating.
Yeah.
In the Dustin fight off a long... But again, it's tough about... When you talk about, Conor's fight IQ, I don't even think it's an IQ issue. It's a layoff issue. It's a time away issue. It's a not being committed to the game issue.
That contributes to it, yeah.
Because fight IQ, I don't think is terrible.
Yeah.
Fight, he tried to keep Khabib in the center and not put himself on the cage where Khabib could shoot, single leg, boom, you're down.
Yeah.
Cross grip, over. But the Dustin fights, I didn't think he had a terrible game plan. It's just, again, maybe hadn't prepared for low kicks, had never seen low kicks like that.
Yeah.
Think about it. When Conor was making his rise, who was throwing low kicks to the calf? Nobody.
True.
He hadn't seen it. Habib didn't throw those to him.
Yeah.
So when he came back and Dustin was hitting him to the low calf, he's like, "Motherfucker, what is this?" So maybe you could say that was the only game plan issue, but then again, I chalk that up to experience. Dustin had not thrown those kicks 4 years earlier, but had been in the game and continued to play it and got better.
I think the layoff issue could contribute to that. Yeah. So I think we give both a seat to Michael Chandler, winning that fight for sure. If they go at it, maybe next year, hopefully.
Today, Mike Chandler beats him.
Oh yeah, if they went, yeah, exactly.
If they go at it next year, when Conor's off the sauce and everything else, and he's committed and he's doing Conor stuff again, and he's fully in the gym, then it's a different story, man. Because Conor is still a world level talent. But if they fought today, Conor, all the stuff he's got going on, I don't know how committed he is to the game right now. I think Mike beats him.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair to say. Now this next one, right? If you could have two MMA skill sets to become a UFC champion, what is the two combinations? I want to hear what you say first, because I have my two.
Wrestling, number one, first and foremost.
Yes.
Become a UFC champion. Wrestling. I want to say wrestling and cardio, if I'm dead honest. But cardio is wrestling.
Yeah.
But you don't have to be a well-rounded fighter anymore. I would say the best base to be a world champion is Dagestani, Sambo, and wrestling.
All right, for me, I think it's wrestling and kickboxing.
I don't even think you have to be a great kickboxer. You don't.
There's Adesanya. I mean, there's a. I think it's just
Adesanya.
Yeah.
If there's a 185-pound Khabib, Adesanya is not the champion. It's not. Khabib gets to those legs and he's choking the life out of you.
That is because Adesanya doesn't have the best takedown defense. But we're talking about 2 combinations though, right? So what if
that's the thing. The problem is, I don't even like the kickboxing aspect of it. Because I think strictly boxing for those wrestlers, I think is even better. Because why stand at range and kick with someone? Why do it? Why not get to the clinch? If you're good, if you're a decent enough boxer, why not get to the single leg, high crotch, move yourself to the clinch, throw elbows?
Well, kickboxing also there is quite a bit of attributes to go with boxing to do with kickboxing, right? So it's like kickboxing, don't get me wrong, you have to kick the legs too, but they also have to throw combinations as well too. It might be not as slick as just the boxing itself, but I think it's more of a well-rounded striking if you have the kickboxing and then the wrestling, which I'm glad we both agree on.
I just don't see why you use it. Why even use it? Why even waste effort on it? How many kicks do you ever see Habib or Islam throw? Islam throws a little more kicks, to be fair.
Islam,
Habib don't be throwing kicks.
You
know what I mean? And again, it's so tough to say these are the 2 things, but wrestling is number 1.
Yeah, I think wrestling.
The only reason I say boxing is to be able to strike in different, just with your hands in different places.
Yeah.
Whether that's on your feet, on the mat, on the cage, in the clinch. I would say like bare knuckle boxing rules.
Okay. Well, actually, I just thought of it because we're talking about Khabib and
Muay Thai. Why don't you say that then, Muay Thai? Because I'm sitting here thinking, okay, fuck, I would like to throw knees in the clinch too and elbows. I wouldn't say kickboxing as much like American kind of kickboxing. I would say Muay Thai, art of the 8 limbs.
Okay.
Muay Thai.
Okay, Muay Thai and wrestling. I could agree. I could honestly agree to that too. Because that also throws more of the elbows and knees and everything like that. So.
Like ideally, the greatest fighter would be someone like Piotr Jan, honestly. Piotr Jan with like more of an attention to not attention to detail, more urgency. Piotr Jan sometimes is a little bit more flashy, more urgency. Like heavy on the wrestling, but the striking there if you need it. Not to like get into a striking match.
Yeah.
Heavy on the wrestling, striking if you need it.
I would really like to see Peter Jan's next fight. I want to see how he rebounds from the Merab loss because that's a big one. To be fair, that's a big loss. I want to see how he rebounds to that.
The continuous losses, and they're all the best names at 35, but it still is like, there you go.
Yeah.
There's one more. Not like he's like washed or nothing, but it's just, what do you do?
For sure. And kind of add on, this isn't about Peter Yan, but you're talking about Khabib, right? Now, I want to get to this little, debate. If this fight will never happen because Khabib retired and, 2 different weight classes, but let's say they somehow meet, which is a realistical met in weight. Who will win in a fight? Khabib or Kamaru Usman? I personally got Kamaru, and that's a very hot take. A lot of people have Khabib. Because I talked to.
Just because people like Khabib.
That's true. Yeah. To be fair, I did discuss this like a few years ago with my friend, and he said that's a very hot take. But it's a few years ago, and now there's a lot of time since then, so it could not be as hot now. But I have Kamaru winning it.
It'd be interesting because I think it's so tough, man. Because Kamaru's a lot bigger.
Yeah.
Not a lot bigger, to be honest. Habib's a big fucking 55er. But there was a reason he never went up, in my opinion. It was because there was a similar style there with Kamaru, and it was a little more dangerous. But I would say, fuck, man, I have no idea.
It's a tough question. It sounds like I'm saying. Sorry, keep going.
Kamaru went 5 rounds over and over and over and over with guys. And was able to go to the distance and dominate dudes and make things a stalemate.
Yeah.
The scramble would be interesting. I would see Habib getting more tired than Kamaru in those exchanges.
Yeah.
He was predominantly a 3-round fighter throughout his career.
Yeah.
He only went to 5 rounds, I think, with Ali Aquenta.
Yeah.
Could be wrong. There could have been more that I'm missing, but
that's
because he was able to smash guys. I don't know if he smashes Kamaru Usman like that.
Oh, no.
Takedown, mount, armbar, choke. I don't know if he does that.
And even in like the striking affair too, especially his jab. Kamaru Usman has a lethal jab, and that's because of Trevor Whitman.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Trevor Whitman
Yeah.
is guru in his own right.
100%. Yeah.
But Habib's jab wasn't terrible, man.
It wasn't terrible. Mm-hmm.
Touching Conor with it over and over. Boom,
True.
boom.
True, but Usman, look what Usman did to Gilbert Burns with just a jab. You know what I mean? And he,
Jab,
yeah,
or no, flatline Masvidal.
yeah, you know what I mean?
So,
it's like, yeah, and he knocked down Colby. To be fair, too.
Yeah, he knocked down. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I could see Habib getting caught with something, but it's.
I don't think knockout.
Really been hurt. You know?
Yeah, I don't think Khabib will get not necessarily knocked out by Usman. I think we could both agree on that. But it could cause for sure Khabib problems. And then when it comes to the wrestling aspect, then it gets to a whole nother thing. And yeah, it's just dude. I would love. That's like one of my top 5 dream matchups to have was Khabib and Kamaru. But they both have said that they don't want to fight each other just based off respect. And yeah, there's nothing more you could really do about that when exactly right. So. It's just, yeah. It's a fun little hypothetical, though. I do like that hypothetical a lot. This one is more realistic. Which weight class in the UFC is the best? Which is the most entertaining? Yeah, just the overall best weight class in the UFC.
Best is probably 35 right now.
I think, yeah. A lot of people say 55, and I say, no, it's 35.
I think 55 is top heavy. But then again, there's probably a ton of guys at 55 that we just aren't taking a look at and are like, oh,
yeah.
Shit,
There's
in the top 15, there's probably a ton of guys at 55 that are ridiculous. I can think of the top 35's top 5 and 6 and be like, those are killers. But 55, I mean, fuck, you think about it. 55 has Dustin.
No, 55 is lethal. 55 is very lethal.
I have to change my pick.
You think
Dustin,
okay?
Charles, Islam is the champ, who's the number 1 pound for pound.
True.
You have Gaethje. You have Chandler.
And then you go later on too. Then you have Connor's not fighting 155. He's fighting 170. But then you have I don't know if you mentioned Beneil. Beneil's there.
Fiziev.
Fiziev, and then Armin.
There's so many guys.
Yeah.
So 55 might be the one because I think of 35 and you think of the top names and how good they are. But
yeah. So, all right, let's talk about 155, and I'll pull up a list as well, just in case I'm forgetting anyone. But as of right now, on top of my head, I have there's Sterling, which, dude, Sterling. By the way, I want just a little quick sidetrack. A lot of people around my area don't like Aljamain Sterling. I really like watching his fights, and he has. Oh shoot, I'm so sorry. I did not mean to fucking move that. But what is it? So Sterling, right? He's probably top 3, if not the most entertaining grappler in the UFC. It's super sick to see how slick he is going to the back and getting the rear naked choke. I think no one does it the best as Sterling when he gets to the neck and getting that submission.
The problem with Sterling is I think a lot of people are looking at him as like a takedown merchant and someone that plays the rule set of the UFC a little more than other guys will, where he has the hands down on the mat when he's he's on his knees, so you can't really kick him in the head and you can't knee him in the head, and he's very open for those shots. But
True.
The rule manipulation thing does give him a bad look, but at the same time, it's like you're gonna ask the guy to do,
100%, 100%. All right, and sorry, keep going.
I was gonna say I think that 35 is deep. I like Sterling.
Yeah.
He improved a lot with that Cejudo win.
So yeah, I just pulled up the list. So it's Sterling, Merab, Sean O'Malley, Cejudo, who's also. Yeah.
Rob is like, I'm not going to fight for the belt. What are you doing?
Yeah, I just either move up or fight. You know what I mean? It's like it sucks.
Rob's style is the typical issue with the rule set too.
Yeah.
He is a cardio, not super talent. I mean, I shouldn't say not super talented because who am I to say? He's not the greatest level of wrestler. He's just ridiculous cardio, and he's going to continue to shoot.
Yeah. Yeah.
How many failed takedowns did he have versus Petr Yan? Like 20.
I
wins the fight.
Yeah.
Dominant decision, just because he just won't stop.
I have to watch that fight again because I forgot. Like it was a while ago when that fight happened. I think it was like beginning of the year, right? So yeah, I forgot because I remember he shot a lot for sure. He shot a lot of takedowns for sure. But yeah, so it's like Merab, Sean, Henry, Corey Sandhagen is lethal. I hate how he has to go against Umar Nurmagomedov, but that's just another discussion. That's just because of I like to say this privilege a lot. There's a thing called Dagestani privilege. It's a true thing. You know what I mean? But Then there's Petr Yan, Cheeto Vera, right? So we're already 7 deep. 6, 7 deep. Yeah, 7 deep. Rob Font is also...
You said Sanhagen?
Sanhagen already mentioned, yeah. Font.
Another one.
Yeah, Font's there.
Shout out to Haverhill, Mass.
Yeah, and then someone who trains out of Sacramento, Song Yadong.
Yeah, Song Yadong been around for a while now as well. Yeah.
And then and I forgot, Dominic Cruz. I don't know if did he just retire or no? Oh, has he been active? Okay.
I don't know. He hasn't been active.
Yeah, his last fight was against Cheeto, and he did lose to that. But he's ranked 9 right now in the UFC. I don't know if he's retired or not, but I just saw his name. Yeah.
Back. He's one of those guys that fight twice a year now.
Yeah, and then Umar's coming up. Umar Nurmagomedov's coming up. But yeah, so I mean they're both very deep. They're both very deep. I think the lightweight I think is the best way to say it. They have more star power for sure. I think it's just undisputed. The star power out of 155 is great when it comes to the 155s. But the depth question is tough because lightweights is also really deep as well. Lightweights is also very deep for sure. But it's also, you know what, when it comes all set and done, I just thought of this now, right? If Islam keeps the belt from all these fighters, man, Islam could be better than Khabib if it's all set and done. Maybe.
It's the same guys Khabib beat, and the next generation, you would have to. I mean, he has the one loss, so that people are gonna be like, oh, undefeated. I don't care about that.
No, the record. Look at Charles Oliveira. When it comes to record, right? Sure, he doesn't have the most pretty record, but he is such a skilled fighter, probably one of the greatest submission artists of all time in the UFC, right? So it's just like the record thing. It's like, yeah, when it comes to some specific arguments, yeah, that can get into that you can use that, but for most cases, I don't really care about record as well, and especially if it's one loss, you know what I mean? So it's like it's the one loss, like come on, but yeah, like I said, the Islam thing, it could happen, especially the Volk win. Vulcan win will for sure help Islam later on in the argument between Nurmagomedov and Makhachev. Yeah. All right. Mm-hmm. You know it's crazy. All right. You know time flies when we're having fun because we have 2 more questions left. All right. But yeah. So this next one, it's very controversial in the welterweight class, in the welterweight division. Does Colby Covington deserve the next title shot?
No.
Exactly. Thank you. It's Bilal. It's
Bilal every single day of the week, but the game is the game.
The game is the game. It's so unfortunate because actually
Bilal doesn't. That's unfortunately the truth.
Yeah. And you know it's.
Sorry, I don't actually mind either one of them because both guys have a little bit of a beef with Leon.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But Bilal makes the most sense, and he already has the backstory of being poked in his fucking eye.
True.
To be able to sell that fight, so it should be Bilal.
Yeah. I get the story, like the whole story behind the Leon Colby fight, but it's also like Colby just got fought like Masvidal, right? Yeah. You know what I mean? 5 rounds, and you're gonna give him another title shot just because he made weight as a backup fighter.
Too, man. Yeah. Just thinking about it now, 70's deeper than it had been for a while now.
Oh no, 70 is deep. I have it 3 actually. Because I had an argument with someone about featherweights versus welterweight of how deep either or, and we both agreed that lightweights and bantamweights are top 2, but we were discussing that third spot.
73.
I think 70 is 3 too. My friend said featherweight, and I was like, no. Like featherweight is deep, but it's not as deep as welterweight. Exactly.
70.
Yeah. So, yeah, no, but Colby, it's like he got one fight and then just because he made weight as a backup fighter, he gets the title shot. It's like, come on. And Bilal's coming in a 6-fight winning streak. But Dana White did say that after they fight, Bilal will get that next shot. I hope he keeps his promise, but
I was like, we'll see.
We'll see, because Dana.
Connor beats Chandler and goes, I want to go to 70 for the belt. We'll see.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's fair. All right, and then heading into the last question. I think this last question, it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be spicy depending how this turns out. What you think about it? Will PFL be a long-term company and can potentially take over the UFC?
Potentially take over the UFC is a big ask, man.
Yeah. Well, let's say, okay, and if we want to change it up a little bit, instead of overtake, compete.
It's going to be a long time.
Yeah.
I'll say that.
Yeah.
What's going on with PFL right now is they're making the play. They are making a play to become that number 2, not just in the U.S., in the world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right? Because right now you think of the UFC, PFL, ONE, and Bellator kind of fighting for that next spot, right? And Bellator had it for a while, and it feels like now they're starting to kind of
go down a little bit. Yeah.
And with PFL, apparently the rumors are true that potentially they're in talks to buy out Bellator, or at least have some sort of purchasing stake. So apparently that's not happened yet, but apparently the talks are true there.
Okay.
I could say yes. I don't know about competing, but they're making the right moves with the ESPN deal. They already had it, but still.
Yeah. With
Francis, it's a long play. It's a long-term play, but I don't know. Because you're spending a lot of money.
Yeah.
On Francis, on expansion, potentially on Bellator, and you're hoping that these immediate actions lead to future recouping and some, right? This is how business, for the most part, works. You bet on yourself early.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that PFL is I don't know how their finances look, but I don't think they've made any money on the Francis deal yet.
Yeah,
so you're not going to make any money there until 2024.
Yeah, 2024. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, and even then, you're paying him damn near $10 million to fight. So
for sure,
we'll see how that goes. But
yeah,
doing it in hopes that, one, with the Jake Paul move, there starts to be more eyes from the youth come over, and more fighters potentially with the Super Fight League, a 50-50 rev split. That's massive.
Yeah.
Again, I don't know how they're making money, but
yeah. Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, the UFC has gotten to where it has gotten because it bet on itself, it took risks, and were in debt for a long time, but also they were the first to the table.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you can be second to the table and overtake first.
Yeah. All right, that's fair. Well, I mean, you thought...
Imagine right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Imagine the NFL being overtaken by the XFL.
Yeah.
Or fucking name another league. And granted, the PFL's they have a little bit more of a legitimate base here, right? They're not just some brand new league. They've been around. And they got some good fighters, but it's tough to say that's going to happen.
Yeah. Well, okay, if I could add on, right? So when it comes to the competition of fighters, I think that's just a matter of time for fighters to come into the PFL. So it's just time. We'll see what happens with time.
And money, though.
Yeah, time and money. Yeah, because I want to talk about this, and I want to before I say this point, I want to competition for sure.
It's not the only thing you're going over there for. You can be the world champion in PFL.
Yeah.
No offense. Do people consider you the world champion?
100%. 100%. Yeah. Like
the heavyweight champion at PFL. If it becomes Francis, and John still holds the belt in the UFC, John's going to be the heavyweight champ.
Yeah. That's true.
Name the weight class. You know.
That's true. That's true. And so, and I want to add. I think that this point too, to add on with the PFL and UFC debate, right? Because it's starting to spice up a little bit, to be honest. And I want to give credit where credit is due because I saw this video. I don't know if you've seen this person's channel, but his name is the MMA Guru.
Bro, Guru's my guy, bro.
Okay, yeah, the MMA Guru, right? So, he was talking about the PFL, right? And he was saying, and the question of the video is, can the PFL compete or overtake the UFC, right? And like you said, it's hard to, it's hard to overtake, a company like the UFC. If there's any other, type of sport that could has the best chance of taking the best league, it is MMA, but I doubt it, right? Because it's new.
You can see it.
Yeah.
Potentially,
but it's a very, very, very far, long shot because MMA, because UFC's been here first. Yeah. So what MMA Guru said, right, is how could you edge the UFC to have people go and watch PFL more, right? So we already talked about the fighters competition. The fighters are in the UFC. Now let's talk about the rules, the fight rules when it comes to the PFL. Right? They don't allow elbows. So when it
don't do it, I understand why.
I understand why. I understand why. But if it's I understand why because the whole tournament, the whole tournament thing, right? But what?
Healthy to continue.
100%. But when it comes to the viewers, the people who watch fighting, right? And they're like, oh, what would I rather watch between PFL and UFC? And they hear that, oh, you don't allow elbows in the PFL? They're going to be like, wait, what? I'm going to watch UFC because of that.
I wonder how long the PFL runs with this format. Because it does make them different with the playoffs and the season format.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder how long they do it, because if they really start to see traction come over, at that point, I don't know if you change everything, because you don't want to go away from what got you to the dance, but at the same time, you do want to allow a full, immersive MMA experience.
Yeah. Yeah. And and so that's why, like, when it comes to the whole PFL argument, because I said it earlier, I watched my first PFL event last Friday. And it was when, the heavyweights and featherweight, women's the featherweight women's tournament and the heavyweight tournament, right? And it was entertaining. Don't get me wrong. I think I like the idea of the whole tournament thing, right? When it's like, oh, if you get a first round finish, you get 6 points. You know what I mean? And whoever has the more points or the better quality fights won, they get to go to the playoffs. It's a really sick idea. But it comes down to, when it comes to the casuals of watching the fights. Oh, you guys don't allow elbows? Why would I go watch the PFL if the UFC does it, right?
I would argue that maybe that's a good thing. Maybe the casual viewing audience that don't watch MMA already, that aren't necessarily as accustomed to seeing dudes get their fucking face split open by an elbow, maybe would be a little more, inept at doing that. And be like, okay, this is kind of like kickboxing with wrestling. This is kind of cool, where they're not seeing elbows and people split open and. Because I just, my experience, my mom won't watch MMA for that reason.
Yeah.
Blood, cuts, that kind of stuff. I'm not saying that the PFL's going for the mom crowd, but they have a format that can work in the United States, because we watch a lot of other sports that are based in seasons and playoff and championship format.
True.
So maybe it's just tough to really say.
It's just tough, yeah. And it's just like, well, because the argument at the end of what you want to do for the PFL is to get some sort of leverage over the UFC to go and compete. So what is that leverage? As of right now, it's really none, right? The competition of fighters. Sorry, what'd you say?
So for them, it's the idea of their format.
Yeah, and so and that comes into the long term of this. In whatever the odds are, right? If the tournament style does very well, right, which I think it's trending to, but it's also the competition of the fighters that go over to the PFL, and that brings to another point that the MMA guru said: you can't just get these former UFC fighters to come over into PFL and be like, all right, this is the fighters who are fighting in this tournament. The best way to develop fighters and getting more competition around it is getting them young and rising up before the UFC takes them. And that's one thing that Bellator didn't do the best at. You know what I mean? Like, hell,
can't be the reject, the knockoff center.
Exactly.
You can do that for some, and Francis
is
because he willingly left.
Well, and Francis is also still in his prime. So it's like, you know what I mean? And a lot of what Bellator's problem is they're out of their prime, and they're coming out of the UFC. Not the best way getting out of it, right? It's just a tough look to see. It's you're gonna see Yoel fight, once, but how many more times do you want to see Yoel Romero fight, at the end of his career? You know what I mean? So it's like,
yeah, they got to take advantage of the young market. They're trying to do that with the Ali Walsh kid.
Yeah,
do more of that. They're hoping brings more of that.
Yeah.
Revenue split with the Super League is another reason.
With they also, I think they did with Muhammad Ali's grandson, right? I think that's who you mentioned, right?
No, it's Ali Walsh.
Yeah, sorry. Okay, that's what I thought you said. Yeah.
An amateur fighting on their main card, smart move.
Smart move for sure. Yeah.
Gotta get more guys like that though.
Even what is it? The women's featherweight, the Brazilian fighter Comaine, who just knocked her opponent out within like the first round. Yeah, Pacheco. Yeah. Was she anywhere? Was she in any other organization beforehand? Cause she.
I think so.
Oh, okay.
I don't remember. She wasn't in the UFC, but I think she was around.
Okay.
Because 45 is such a tough deal, you kind of have to bounce a bit.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That I think that might be the one leverage that the PFL has is having the competition of the 45 and the 55ers, because that's the two female weight divisions that they're gonna have. But yeah, so it's like we'll see what happens. Because you know what, I'm gonna start watching a little bit more PFL. I want to see where this goes. You know what I mean? I want to see where this goes for sure. But we're gonna wrap it up here after I don't know how long the video is. Right? Hopefully everyone who did make it here, right? Hope you guys enjoyed, this 100 subscriber special video where I debated the weight concept. Tell me, at the bottom of the comments, what you guys think of the video at the end of the day. Wade, if you want to say anything, if you want to mention anything special announcements, say it right now.
J Sports Takes, man, go subscribe. Go take a look at my man's channel. He's balling out of control. 100 subscribers, soon to be 1,000, soon to be 100,000. The whole thing.
Yeah.
Appreciate you having me on.
I appreciate it, and thank you, for taking time for coming on to a channel who's also small at the end of the day, right? It's a small channel. You took time out of your day to do this. Yeah, and also too for everyone here, the end of the year goal is 1,000 subscribers. That's the goal for the end of the year. That's the bigger picture for the year is to get to that 1,000 subs, and hopefully I could do this more and more often, right? So yeah, I appreciate everyone for coming onto this video, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.